Your best friend said he wanted to be a father, so I slept with him and got pregnant. My wife confessed the affair, our daughter sided with her. So I made them both face the consequences. I should have known something was off when my wife started caring about phone privacy after 14 years of marriage. Let me paint you the picture first. I'm Rafe, 38, and I run a marine salvage operation out of Tampa Bay. Not huge, but we do solid work, insurance recoveries, yacht retrievals, occasional treasure hunting contracts that pay the bills and then some. My wife Remy curates the Fairwater Botanical Gardens downtown. She turned that place from a dying tourist trap into something people actually visit. Our daughter Daisy just turned 17 last month, and she's basically a tech prodigy who captains her school's robotics team and tutors kids in coding on weekends for extra college money. We were that family. You know the type. Saturday mornings on my salvage vessel teaching Daisy navigation. Sunday afternoons at Remy's garden events, me playing the supportive husband while she charmed donors. Dinner at 7 sharp, no phones, just conversation about Daisy's latest robot design or my newest recovery contract or Remy's plans for the butterfly conservatory expansion. Perfect, right? The changes started small. 4 months ago, Remy started taking her phone into the bathroom. New behavior after 14 years. She'd flip it face down during dinner, something she used to lecture Daisy about. Those evening workshops she ran for the community? They started running later. Sometimes she wouldn't get home until after 11, claiming cleanup took forever or that the participants had so many questions. You smell different, I told her one night after she slipped into bed at midnight. New fertilizer samples, she said, turning away. The organic suppliers want us to test their products. Made sense. Everything always made sense with Remy. She had an answer for everything, delivered with that calm curator voice she used when explaining why certain plants couldn't grow together. 3 months ago, she started having overnight trips. Plant acquisition runs to nurseries in Gainesville, Orlando, sometimes Atlanta. She'd been doing local runs for years, but suddenly every rare species required an overnight stay. Why not just have them shipped? I asked once, watching her pack a bag that included her nice dress, the black one she wore to galas. You know I need to inspect them personally, she said, folding the dress carefully. Can't trust photos. Remember the disaster with those supposed Japanese maples that turned out to be regular acers? I remembered. She'd ranted about that for weeks 3 years ago. Daisy noticed too, but differently. Mom's been weird happy lately, she mentioned 2 months ago while we prepped her robot for regionals. Like, humming while doing laundry happy. She hates laundry. Maybe work's going well, I offered, tightening a servo. Maybe, Daisy said, but her tone suggested otherwise. Kids always know. The thing about running a salvage operation is you develop instincts. You learn to read currents, spot hidden damage, sense when something's structurally compromised even when the surface looks pristine. My marriage was sending out all the signals of a hull breach, but I kept telling myself I was paranoid. Projecting work stress onto home life. Last week, Remy left her iPad on the kitchen counter while she showered. It dinged with a text notification. Just the preview, but I saw, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow." Thinking about. The rest was cut off. From someone named Mark with a camera emoji next to his name. I didn't touch the iPad. Didn't need to. Mark was the documentary filmmaker who'd been working on some project about urban botanical spaces. He'd interviewed Remy several times, filmed B-roll at the gardens. She'd mentioned him exactly 3 times, always in passing, always professionally. Documentary filmmakers don't text their subjects about what they're thinking at 10 p.m. This morning over breakfast, Remy barely touched her coffee. She kept glancing at Daisy, then at me, like she was measuring something. Calculating distance maybe, or impact force. I recognize the look. I use it when I'm determining if a structure will hold or collapse. We need to have a family meeting, she said finally, voice steady as a flat C. Tonight, after dinner. All 3 of us. Everything okay? I asked, though my salvage instincts were screaming that nothing was okay. Just something we need to discuss as a family, she said, then looked at Daisy. Something important about our future. Daisy shrugged, absorbed in her phone, probably reviewing code. But I caught the way Remy's hand trembled slightly as she reached for her mug. Whatever was coming would hit tonight. Dinner that night felt like eating underwater. Every movement slow, deliberate, the pressure building in my ears. Remy had made seafood paella, my favorite. That should have been the final warning sign. She only made paella for apologies or announcements. The last time was when she decided to accept the curator position, knowing it meant longer hours. Daisy picked at her food, unusually quiet. She kept glancing between us like she was debugging code, trying to identify which line was causing the system failure. "So what's this family meeting about?" Daisy finally asked, pushing saffron rice around her plate. "After dinner," Remy said, not meeting anyone's eyes. We moved to the living room like we were heading to a funeral. Remy and Daisy sat on the couch together. I took the armchair across from them, the one I usually read in, though tonight it felt like a witness stand. Remy's hands were clasped so tight her knuckles went white. She looked at Daisy first, then at me, and her face did this thing where it hardened into something I didn't recognize. Like she'd made a decision and was about to deploy it. "I need to tell you both something," she started, voice flat as calm water. "I've been seeing someone else." The words hit but didn't sink. Like when you first spot a hull breach, you see it, but your brain takes a second to process what it means. "What?" Daisy's voice cracked. "I've been having an affair," Remy continued, each word measured. "With Mark. The documentary filmmaker." There it was. Confirmation of what my gut already knew. But she wasn't done. "He wants to be a father," she said, and now she looked straight at me. "I'm pregnant." The room tilted. Not metaphorically, I actually felt the floor shift like I was on a boat in rough seas. 14 years of marriage, 17 years together total, and she just torpedoed all of it in 3 sentences. "You're... what?" Daisy stood up, her face cycling through confusion, disgust, and something else I couldn't read. "It wasn't planned," Remy said, reaching for Daisy's hand. "But Mark and we fell in love. Real love. The kind that..." "Stop," I said. My voice came out steadier than expected. "Just... stop." But she didn't. "He makes me feel alive, Rafe. When was the last time you really saw me? Not as Daisy's mother or your wife, but as me?" The manipulation was so transparent I almost laughed. Trying to make this my fault, like I'd pushed her into another man's bed. "How long?" I asked. 8 months. 8 months of lies. Of overnight trips. Of coming home smelling different and blaming fertilizer. "Does he know you're married?" I asked. She hesitated. That tiny pause told me everything. "He knows," she said finally. "His situation is complicated. He's married too." Not a question. A statement. She nodded. "Mom, what the hell?" Daisy's voice was sharp now, angry. "You're pregnant with some married guy's baby?" "Daisy, sweetheart, you don't understand." "I understand perfectly," Daisy snapped. Then she did something that shattered what was left of my chest. She sat back down next to Remy and took her hand. "I understand you're my mom and you're going through something." She chose her. Right there, in that moment, my daughter looked at the wreckage of our family and chose the person who detonated it. "Dad probably hasn't been easy to live with," Daisy continued, not looking at me. "Always working, always on the boat." I wanted to defend myself. Wanted to remind her who taught her to code, who never missed a robotics competition, who was working to pay for her college. But I just sat there, watching them form a closed circuit that didn't include me. "We'll need to discuss logistics," Remy said, back to that calm curator voice. "The house, custody arrangements for Daisy, finances." She had it all planned out. This wasn't a confession, it was a briefing. "I'll be staying here tonight," she added. "You should probably pack some things." They both looked at me, waiting. Mother and daughter, united. I stood up slowly. Didn't say a word. Just walked to our bedroom, my former bedroom, and started putting clothes in a bag. Through the wall, I could hear them talking in low voices, already planning their new reality. At 3 a.m., in my motel room, I opened my laptop and typed Mark filmmaker Tampa Bay into Google. The third result made me stop breathing. Mark Cray, independent documentary filmmaker, with his wife Josie Cray, senior cybersecurity analyst, at a charity gala 6 months ago. His wife didn't know. I stared at Josie Cray's face on my laptop screen. She was smiling at the camera, arm linked with Mark's, completely unaware her husband was screwing my wife and planning to play daddy to another man's daughter. A cybersecurity analyst. The irony wasn't lost on me, she protected people's digital lives while her husband destroyed actual ones. By dawn, I'd made 2 decisions. First, I wasn't going to explode like Remy expected. Second, I was going to document everything. I called Tommy Wynn, A private investigator who'd helped me track down a stolen yacht 2 years back. Former Coast Guard, ran a small operation, knew how to be thorough without leaving ripples. Need some work done, I said when he answered. Salvage related? Personal. He didn't hesitate. My office, 10 a.m. Next call was harder. Patricia Vance, the attorney who'd handled my business incorporation. Sharp, discreet, and more importantly, she didn't know Remy socially. I need a consultation about protecting assets, I said. How soon? Today if possible. 2 p.m. work? By noon, Tommy had already pulled preliminary data that made my stomach turn. The affair wasn't just 8 months old, the digital trail suggested they'd been circling each other for almost a year. Mark had attended 12 botanical documentation sessions that coincided perfectly with Remy's overnight trips. Your wife isn't subtle, Tommy said, sliding printed credit card statements across his desk. Same hotel chain every time. The Marriott downtown. Sometimes the one in Orlando. I recognized the charges. She'd explained them as conference rates, botanical society discounts. I'd never questioned it because why would I? We weren't poor. If she needed a nice hotel for work, fine. There's more, Tommy said. He pulled up Instagram on his tablet. Mark's professional account, all artistic shots of urban spaces and nature. But buried in the tags, Remy appeared. Not prominently, but consistently. Background of shots, reflection in windows, her hand holding a plant he was photographing. This one's interesting, Tommy zoomed in on a photo dated 3 months ago. Mark filming in what looked like a greenhouse. In the corner, barely visible, Remy's reflection in the glass. She was watching him with an expression I hadn't seen in years. Pure adoration. Can you get more? Give me a week, Tommy said. I'll get everything. Patricia's news was worse. Florida was an equitable distribution state. Without proof of financial misconduct, Remy would get half of everything. The house, the business value, savings, even my boat. Unless she's used marital assets for the affair, Patricia said. Then we have leverage. She has. Document everything. Every receipt, every charge, every transfer. Build me a case. I spent the next 3 days playing the broken husband. Went to work, ran recovery operations, came back to my motel at night. Remy texted twice asking about getting my things. I responded with short, defeated messages. Let her think she'd won. But at night, I was building my case. Our shared iPad still synced to the family cloud. Remy had forgotten I set it up years ago. Every photo she took, every message that synced, I captured. The messages were the worst part. Not just S-word, though those were there, but the planning. How they'd redecorate my house. How Mark would teach Daisy about art and culture, things I apparently couldn't provide. How the baby would bring them all together as a real family. One thread made me stop breathing. Mark, once your divorce is final, we can make it official. Remy, the house will be ours. Rafe makes good money, child support and alimony will cover the mortgage. Mark, perfect. My project wraps in 2 months. Josie still has no clue. Remy, feel bad for her sometimes. Mark, don't. She's married to her work anyway. They were planning to live in my house, on my money, raising their kid while playing family with my daughter. Tommy called on day 4. You need to see something. I met him at a coffee shop. He had a manila folder, thick with printouts. Your wife's been moving money, he said. Small amounts, but consistently. Transfers to an account that doesn't have your name on it. How much? $43,000 over 6 months. That's fraud. That's leverage, Tommy corrected. But that's not the big news. He pulled out another document. Mark Cray's done this before. 2 other married women, same pattern. The last one ended with a restraining order. I stared at the court filing from 3 years ago. Does Josie know about any of this? Doubt it, Tommy said. But here's her contact information if you want to reach out. I looked at Josie Cray's email address. Maybe it was time she learned what her husband had been documenting. I didn't contact Josie Cray. Not yet. That card needed to be played at exactly the right moment. Instead, I focused on something more important, protecting what actually mattered. Patricia had given me the blueprint. Florida courts favor minors in custody arrangements, but assets were different. I couldn't hide money, but I could redirect it legally. Irrevocable trust, Patricia explained during our second meeting. You can establish one for Daisy's education and future. Once funded, It can't be touched or dissolved, not even in divorce proceedings. How much can I put in? As much as you want, but it has to be justifiable. College, living expenses, future business ventures. I'd suggest liquidating some assets first. My salvage business had 3 boats worth about $400,000 combined. I sold the smallest one within a week to a competitor who'd been eyeing it for years. Clean sale, market price, completely legal. That money went straight into Daisy's trust. The hard part was watching my daughter drift further away. She'd started spending more time at home with Remy, less time responding to my texts. When I picked her up for a robotics competition, she was distant. "Your mom doing okay?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. "She's going through a lot," Daisy said, staring out the window. "The pregnancy is rough on her. Mark's been helping though." "Mark? In my house? Helping? That's good," I forced out. "Dad, why aren't you fighting for her?" Daisy turned to look at me. "Don't you love her anymore?" I gripped the steering wheel. Sometimes loving someone means accepting their choices. "That's such bull," she muttered. "You're just giving up." If only she knew. I was fighting harder than I'd ever fought for anything. Just not the way she expected. 2 weeks before Remy's birthday, I had everything in place. Tommy had documented 67 instances of affair-related expenses. Patricia had prepared emergency motions ready to file. The trust was funded with $320,000, untouchable money for Daisy's future. But I needed the perfect moment for maximum impact. Then Remy handed it to me herself. "I want to have a big birthday brunch," she announced during one of our logistics meetings at a Starbucks. These were the only times we met now, public places to discuss Daisy's schedule and the separation details. "Okay," I said. She seemed surprised by my easy agreement. "I want to invite everyone. My family, the garden's board members, some major donors. About 40 people." "Sounds nice." She studied me suspiciously. "You'll come?" "If you want me there." "Daisy expects it," she said carefully. "She thinks we're being civilized about this." "We are." "Mark will be there too," she added, watching my reaction. "He's documenting the garden's spring collection. It's work-related." "Work-related?" "Right. Her boyfriend filming her birthday party that I was invited to." The sheer audacity was almost impressive. "No problem," I said. She relaxed. "Good. I want this to be perfect. New beginnings and all that." New beginnings. I almost smiled. I spent the next week finalizing details. The restaurant she'd chosen had excellent acoustics. I tested it myself during lunch. My phone could connect to Bluetooth speakers, but that was too unreliable. I bought a small portable speaker, the kind people use for beach trips. Fit perfectly in a jacket pocket. Tommy compiled everything into a single folder on my phone. Audio files, credit card statements, hotel receipts, screenshots. All organized chronologically, ready to deploy. The night before the brunch, I made one final preparation. I created an email with all the evidence attached, addressed to very specific recipients. Set to send unless I canceled it. Then I called Josie Cray. "You don't know me," I said when she answered. "But your husband is having an affair with my wife." Silence. Then, "Who is this?" "Rafe Morrison. Your husband is Mark Cray, correct? Documentary filmmaker?" "How did you get this number?" "That's not important. What's important is that you know the truth. He's been sleeping with my wife Remy for 8 months. She's pregnant." Another long silence. "You're lying." "Tomorrow, 11 a.m., Fairwater Restaurant downtown. Your husband will be there, filming my wife's birthday party. Come see for yourself." This is insane. Row 4, column G in his Google Photos from 3 months ago. Check it yourself. Your answer will determine if you show up tomorrow. I hung up. The photo was Remy and Mark kissing in the botanical garden after hours. He'd been stupid enough to auto-back up everything. My phone buzzed an hour later. Unknown number. Text message, "I'll be there." Tomorrow, everything would collapse exactly as planned. The Fairwater restaurant was perfect for a massacre. Not the violent kind, the kind where truth does all the cutting. I arrived early, watched the staff set up the private dining room. 43 people had RSVP'd yes. Remy's parents drove down from Jacksonville. Her sister flew in from Houston. The Botanical Garden's entire board of directors would attend, along with 6 major donors who collectively provided about 60% of the garden's funding. Remy had outdone herself with the guest list. She'd assembled everyone who mattered in her life for what she thought would be her triumph: the successful curator, the devoted mother, gracefully handling a divorce while moving toward new love. She arrived at 10:30 with Daisy, both of them laughing about something. Remy wore a white sundress that probably cost more than my monthly motel bill. Daisy had on the outfit Remy bought her last week, their bonding shopping trip. "You came," Remy said, noticing me by the bar. "Said I would." Mark walked in 5 minutes later, camera bag slung over his shoulder, playing the professional documentarian. He nodded at me, actually nodded, like we were acquaintances. "The balls on this guy. Just getting some B-roll," he explained to anyone listening. "The Garden Spring campaign needs authentic moments." Remy's mother, Eleanor, pulled me aside. "Rafe, dear, how are you holding up?" "Taking it one day at a time," I said. She patted my arm. "These things happen. People grow apart. At least you're both handling it maturely." If only she knew. By 11:15, everyone was seated. Remy at the head of the table, Mark conveniently positioned to film her reactions. Daisy to her right, me several seats away, close enough to be civil, far enough to avoid awkwardness. I stood up with my champagne glass. The room quieted. "I wanted to say something," I began. Remy smiled, probably thinking I was playing the gracious ex. 14 years is a long time to know someone. You think you understand them, their values, their choices. Remy's smile flickered slightly. "But sometimes people surprise you," I continued, pulling out my phone. "Sometimes they reveal who they really are in ways you never expected." "Rafe," Remy started. "Like this," I said, hitting play on the first audio file. Remy's voice filled the room through the speaker in my pocket, crystal clear. "Mark makes me feel things you never did. When we're together, it's like the world makes sense." Mark's voice responded, "Once your divorce is final, we can stop hiding." I swiped to the next file. "Or this." Remy again, "I'm pregnant. It's yours. We're going to be a family." The room had gone cemetery quiet. Remy's mother's champagne glass hit the floor. "Or these," I continued, now showing my phone screen to the people nearest me, who started passing it around. "Hotel receipts. Credit card charges. Screenshots of messages planning their future in my house with my money." "Stop," Remy said, standing. Her face had gone pale. "Why?" I asked. "Everyone here deserves to know who they're celebrating. The woman who stole $43,000 from her family's accounts to fund her affair. The woman who planned to take my house and live there with her married boyfriend." "Married?" Eleanor's voice cracked. That's when Josie Cray walked in. She didn't say anything at first. Just stood in the doorway, taking in the scene. Mark saw her and dropped his camera. It hit the floor with an expensive sound. "Josie," he said. "This isn't row 4, column G," she said quietly. "I found it. And columns H through Z and the credit card you thought I didn't know about. And the messages to Remy. And Teresa from 2 years ago. And Winifred before that." Mark stepped toward her. "Baby, let me explain. I sent everything to your production company," Josie cut him off. "And the film festival board. And the 3 women you have lined up for your next documentaries." Remy sank into her chair. "You said you loved me." "He says that to everyone," Josie replied. Then she looked at me. "Thank you for the heads up." She turned and left. Mark started to follow, but stopped, looking back at Remy. "This is your fault," he told her. "You were supposed to keep things quiet until..." "Until what?" I asked. "Until you could destroy another family properly?" The room erupted. Remy's father stood up and walked out without a word. Her mother was crying. The board members were already on their phones. 2 major donors left immediately. But the best part was Daisy. She stood up slowly, looking at her mother like she was seeing her for the first time. "You lied to me," Daisy said quietly. "You made me think Dad was the problem." Then she looked at me, and I saw something shift in her eyes. Recognition. Understanding. "Dad, can we go? Dad, can we go?" 3 words that changed everything. I reached for Daisy's hand, and she took it. We walked out together, leaving Remy surrounded by the wreckage of her carefully constructed image. The legal papers were served that afternoon. Patricia had them delivered to the house while Remy was still at the restaurant trying to salvage something from the disaster. Emergency injunction freezing joint accounts. Forensic accounting request for the missing $43,000. Custody arrangement proposals that favor the non-cheating parent. Within 48 hours, Remy's professional life imploded. The Botanical Gardens board called an emergency meeting. 3 major donors pulled their funding immediately, citing ethical concerns about leadership. The garden couldn't afford to lose 60% of their funding. Remy was given a choice: resign quietly with 2 weeks severance, or be terminated for cause with nothing. She resigned. Mark vanished like smoke. His phone went straight to voicemail. His social media went dark. Josie had been thorough. His production company dropped him after she sent them evidence of him using company funds for his affairs. The film festival board banned him from future events. His carefully curated artistic reputation was torched. 2 weeks later, Remy called me crying. "He's gone," she said. "Mark left. Said he couldn't handle the pressure." I said nothing. "I'm pregnant and alone, Rafe. The house is going into foreclosure. I can't afford it without your income and my job." "That's unfortunate," I said. "Please. Can we talk about this? For Daisy's sake?" "Daisy's taken care of," I said. "Her college fund is secure. Her future's protected. That's all I'm concerned about." "What about me? What about the baby?" "Call Mark," I said. "Ask him to pay the mortgage." I hung up. The house did go into foreclosure. Remy moved back with her parents in Jacksonville. The last I heard from Eleanor, Remy was working part-time at a local nursery, trying to rebuild. The baby was due in 3 months, and Mark was nowhere to be found. Josie Cray sent me one final message: "He's done this to 7 women that I've found so far. I'm working with 3 of them on a civil suit. Thank you for opening my eyes." The divorce was finalized in 4 months. Expedited due to the fraud and adultery evidence. Remy got nothing from my business, nothing from the assets I'd protected. She had to pay back the $43,000 from her share of the house sale proceeds, which left her with almost nothing after the foreclosure costs. But the real victory wasn't financial. 3 months after the birthday brunch, Daisy and I were on my salvage vessel, heading out for her first real job shadowing. She'd been coming to the marina every day after school, learning the business, understanding what I actually did. "I was so stupid," she said, watching the sunrise over the water. "Mom played me completely." "You're 17, I said. "You trusted your mother. That's not stupid, that's normal. How did you stay so calm? When she told you about Mark, about the pregnancy, I would have lost it." "Anger makes you sloppy," I said, adjusting our heading. "In salvage, if you panic when something goes wrong, people die. You assess, you plan, you execute. Same principle." She was quiet for a moment. "The trust you set up, Mom can't touch it?" "Not a penny. It's yours when you turn 18. For college, starting a business, whatever you need. You gave me everything. I gave you what mattered. Money's just a tool. The real gift was showing you that actions have consequences." She nodded, understanding. "Mom texts sometimes. Says I'm cruel for choosing you." "You didn't choose me," I said. "You chose truth over lies. That's different." We worked in comfortable silence after that, pulling up a waterlogged yacht for an insurance company. Good, honest work. The kind where you can see exactly what you're recovering, no hidden damage, no surprises. That evening, as we headed back to port, Daisy asked, "Do you regret any of it?" I thought about it. The 14 years with Remy. The family we'd built. The way it all burned down. "No," I said finally. "Because it led to this. You and me, building something real. No lies, no manipulation. Just truth." She smiled, the first real smile I'd seen from her in months. "Love you, Dad." "Love you too, kiddo." We docked as the sun set, planning tomorrow's salvage. I'd lost a wife, a house, and the illusion of a perfect family. But I'd salvaged what actually mattered: my daughter's respect, my integrity, and our future together. That was the only recovery that counted. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.